Hello and welcome to Dig This, a podcast by The Quarry. Today we've got a very special edition as part of the Guernsey Literary Festival. We're talking to Vassos Alexander about his book, Swimmingly, Adventures in Water. Vassos, thanks for joining us today down at the bathing pools. Your first time here as well.
Well, it's my first time here. I've run there.
Yeah.
And I've seen it before, but I'm really excited to get in. I mean, what a spot for an interview. What a spot generally.
I mean, I think you already get a bit of a vibe for swimming just sitting here, like just the people and like...
Well, 100%, because we've been chatting for like 5 minutes before we started recording. And literally the last thing I said before we started recording is, can I just get in quickly? I cannot wait to get in the water. It's very difficult to sit here and not be in there.
Just gives you that look. What is it about swimming? What is it that's drawing you into that?
I don't know. I mean, it looks gorgeous. You know, ask me in January in the North Sea when it looks brown and I still get drawn into it. Not brown because of pollution, but brown because there's a lot of silt and stuff. And sometimes where we have a little place in Whitstable, the water just does look, that looks clear and calm and it's sort of sunny, it's trying to be. I mean, I feel like everybody would be drawn into that. It's still early May, so it's still probably a bit chilly for some. But I don't know, since I started swimming, I find it very difficult to pass a kind of a body of water without wanting to just sort of get in it. And this has been set up for swimmers. That gentle ramp into a beautiful cove off a lovely island. I mean, what's not to like?
Look, where did swimming begin with you? Where did you start that journey?
Well, no, I was brought up in Greece. I spent every summer at my grandparents'. He sort of literally built a house with his bare hands on an island called Evia, and there was in the middle of nowhere, no phones, no tarmac, no electricity for a while. So literally all we had to do was swim in the sea, and so that's what my brother and I did every day of every summer, and so it's sort of in me. And then I didn't swim for ages. I did an Ironman triathlon, and I was sort of dreading the swim. And I loved the swim. I loved the swim training. I loved the swim. Didn't like the bike much. And then I'm a runner anyway. And so that sort of led me to join the Serpentine Swim Club in London, sort of like the mid 2015, 2016. And I just sort of started swimming and making it part of my daily routine. And it sort of went from there. And, I did little things. I swam to the Isle of Wight from the mainland. I did a few kind of swimming events. And then the idea got stuck in my head, largely after a brunch with my book editor, Charlotte, that maybe I could take on the sort of, the grandmother of swimming challenges, which is the Channel. And I started training for that. And then I fell in love with swimming all over again.
I mean, the Channel is like, you called it the grandmother of swimming. What is it about the Channel? There's some amazing stat about how many people swim the Channel compared to climbing Everest.
Yeah, but much, much fewer. It's just like objectively a really hard thing to do. Until quite recently, it was the most difficult endurance challenge on Earth. I mean, sort of known as that. And it's still right up there because you're at the mercy of the tides. It's bloody cold, because you're not allowed neoprene if you want to do it properly under Channel rules. And it's a long way. And especially for sort of amateur swimmers like me, I'm not going to be able to sort of get it done inside, 10, 11 hours. It's going to take me a proper amount of time if I ever get to do it. So it's just there, and it's the law, it's the history, it's the fact that, I was born in the UK, so that sort of stretch of water, that's in my soul as well. I really love it. It's just, like you said, what's drawing you into the water? And I said, what's not to like? It's almost like with the Channel, but, it's not just because it's there, it's because it's there with a capital T,
It's an interesting one as well, because it's not just the ability to be able to swim the Channel. Lots of other things also have to go right, which is sort of touched on in your book.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly thought as I was writing the book, I was sort of writing about my training as I was, training, because the publishing deadline was in October and my Channel tide was late September, right at the end of the season. So there wasn't going to be much time to write. And I thought the final chapter, I've got a month to write that, about me triumphantly landing on a beach at Cap Greenet in France. And here we are. And it never happened. The weather was awful during that window, the 10th to the 15th of September that year. So no one went out. And I had a dodgy shoulder, and I'd have probably got hypothermia anyway. But anyway, I never got to try. And I was really pleased about that, because it means that the book sort of pivoted into just a celebration of, I'm the guy that does stupid endurance challenges anyway. And I just did another one. It just happened to be, wetter than my normal running ones. Whereas this then became an absolute celebration of like swimming as a thing and swimming as a community. And I think the book and life is just better for that. Nobody needs to hear about me doing something else, but people do need to hear about how brilliant swimming is and how wonderful the people who do it are.
Because I guess there's a bit of the journalist in you that comes out in telling the stories of other people during this as well.
Yeah.
Could you pick any particular tales that really stick with you?
Well, I'm so lucky because, swimming people are really nice, and they tend to say yes when you ask for an interview. Lynne Cox, who's still around, and I feel like she should be in every history book in the world. She helped end the Cold War. She, in the 80s, became the first person to swim between the USA and the USSR, as was, between these two islands, Big Diomed and Little Diomed. It's only a couple of miles, but it's in the Arctic, in the Baltic Sea, not Baltic, Arctic. And it's flipping cold, and she took ages, like more than a decade, to get the permissions and stuff to do it, but then she did it. And within 2 weeks, Gorbachev and Reagan, the heads of the two countries at the time, were signing the first treaty saying, look, if Gorbachev actually said, if a young woman can swim between our countries to show how close we are, the least we could do is, not nuke the hell out of each other. So Lynne Cox saved the world, and, people should know about that. Diana Nyad, who became the first person without a shark cage to swim between Cuba and Florida, more than 100 miles, in her 60s, just showing that age is just no barrier to anything. Just, set your mind to something and do it. And she kept trying and failing, but eventually succeeded. She's great. I know sometimes she's a controversial figure in the swimming community, because some people say that did she follow the rules exactly? I sort of don't care about that. Look what she did, and look how inspirational she was. And, and talking of the channel, she's no longer with us, but Gertrude Erdeler, who was the first woman to swim the channel, great film on Disney Plus, I think it is, Young Woman in the Sea. She showed in the 1920s, that women can do sport and endurance sport every bit as well as, and actually loads better than, men. She set a time that wasn't beaten for decades, becoming the fifth person and first woman to swim between, it was France to England in those days. Just fantastic. Her ticker tape parade, Gertrude Erdeler's in New York, was like 2 million people big when she got back on the ferry, on the steamer or whatever. And that's the biggest sporting parade there's ever been, just because she just changed the world. She changed people's perception of what women could do. And wonderful stories.
Well, there's stories that ripple outside of the swimming community as well, isn't it? It's like such a beautiful thing in its own way. What is it like? So within the book, you meet different people along the way. You do different challenges. There's different communities. Is there a commonality that you find amongst swimmers?
Yeah, everyone's really nice. Everyone's really nice. Everyone's really welcoming. Everyone's really happy to help. Everyone knows how lucky they are to have found swimming and just want to share that with as many people as possible. And that's how I feel. We're really lucky. We're really lucky to be here. Those people in the water there, they know how lucky they are, and that person swimming out there. And so if anyone turned up and thought, could I come in? Yes. What can I do to help you? Come in. Because it is challenging. The water is cold. In the winter, it really does hurt. Objectively, it's sort of, horrific. It's not as easy as sitting on the sofa and watching Netflix, but your life improves because of it. So, and I think the swimming community know that and want to show people.
You speak a little bit there about the challenge of swimming. It's not always easy. And there's a thread that I guess goes through your running as well, like about challenging yourself, maybe getting out of your comfort zone. What is it
No, I love getting out of my comfort zone. I think that's where life exists. That's where you really feel alive, is just outside your comfort zone, or loads outside your comfort zone if you want to. I quite like extreme stuff, so I like sort of diving way out of my comfort zone. I met Roger Bannister twice actually, but the first time we met, we got on really well, and we had a cup of coffee together, and he kept calling me son, and he said, son, what I've tried to do every day in my life, not just breaking the 4-minute mile, which is one of the great human athletic achievements, but he then did lots of medical research, which he's equally, in fact, more proud of. And he said, every day, if you can get out of your comfort zone expands, you expand as a human being. And when we're growing, when we're becoming better than we were yesterday, that's what life's all about. That's what, we're so lucky even to be alive, and I feel strongly that that's the case. So try and do stuff that just slightly scares you, but slightly excites you and slightly gets you out of your comfort zone. I think that's a pretty good way to live.
I find like swimming, there's obviously there's a community to it. We see it down here. There's people, they're chatting, they're together, they've come down together. When you're in the water, is that solitary? Is that meditative?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. If it's cold, you've got to deal with that. But you're very much in your body. You're out of your mind and into your body. And if you're swimming, head down, you can't see very much, but that's that. If you breathe both ways, which lots of swimmers do, there's that sort of left and right crossing the central brain cortex, which is just scientifically really good for you. But there's no modern life around you. There's no WhatsApp messages pinging when you're swimming. It's just you and your stroke and the water and your connection to nature. And I think that's really important. We've got to, we've come so far away from our connection to nature, but we are natural beings, despite living in, heated, air-conditioned houses and, having really expensive coats that keep the chill out, or wicking T-shirts that, help, all of that. So we're so overcomforted, we're so overconvenienced, and swimming is an antidote.
And that connection with nature as well, I guess that there's part of it that you touch on in the book about how we need to be looking after the water and what we're swimming in, and a particular problem in the UK, more than also than here.
Yeah, look, we've got to keep on this to the water companies to stop dumping sewage into our water, because frankly they do it largely because it's the cheapest option for them, but it's just not the right thing to do. So it's slightly difficult because groups like SOS Whitstable, which I've gone on protest with, and Save Our Lands and Solar, Save Our Lands and River in Teddington, where I swim in London. We've got to keep shouting about the water companies pumping sewage into our waterways, but that does put people off swimming, which I think is a shame. So there's a sort of balance to be reached, but we're nowhere near where we can stop shouting yet. It might be getting a bit better, and there's a lot of media. The Times have done great with this, and BBC have done great with this, and there was a lovely /awful documentary on Channel 4 recently. So it's getting out there, and it's a shame that it's putting people off swimming, but I feel like this is it's all right, actually. It is generally all right if you know what you're doing and you know where you're going. But I feel like it's a battle we have to fight and win, and then we can sort of shut up about it, and then more and more people can, because I totally get it. People used to say, what are you doing in there? It's so cold 5 years ago. And now they're saying, what are you doing in there? It's so polluted. And I get that, and I get that's a real barrier, and we are largely creating that barrier. But I'm sort of sorry about that, but we can't stop. We've got to win this fight against the water companies, because otherwise it's just too easy to just keep pumping sewage into our rivers, lakes, and seas.
Obviously win that argument, more people get in, more people enjoy.
Yeah, we've got to win the argument first, but it's we're just in that slightly bumpy stage now where people are reluctant to get in, because there's lots of reasons to not get in that water, right? Not least it's freezing, and so we're both comfortable sitting here in enough clothes and sitting down, right? And those people are less comfortable than we are because they're cold and they're in the sea. So that fact has to be got over before you get in the sea. If you just put another barrier in front of people, like, oh, it might even be polluted, that's enough to go, no, I'm just going to stay at home and order a Deliveroo. So yeah, so we're in that stage now, but soon we'll be out of that stage, I hope.
Moving into, I guess, something more positive and more about Guernsey as well. You've been out on the cliffs having a run as well.
Oh yeah, with Graham, who's a proper runner, and we started here actually, and then we went up the cliffs to there's a viewpoint about 3 miles away. It reminded me a bit of the southwest coast path in Cornwall. Lots of kind of ups and downs and stairs, but just every cove that every sort of you come down to the sea and then up, and then a sort of a new vista unfolds in front of your eyes. You think, oh, this is great, and then you go around and down and up, and then oh, this is great, and it's just I could run on that, and the wildflowers and the elevation gain and the elevation. It was just a really lovely. What a way to start a weekend. Just an hour and a bit. I think we were on the go, and it was just really energizing. Graham said that he ran that and thought, I'm moving to Guernsey, and I'm sort of with him.
Open the door up. So
yeah.
What's next for you? What comes next?
What, challenge-wise or generally wise?
Well, let's talk a little bit about your new.
So this time tomorrow.
Yeah.
This time tomorrow I will be 50.
Which won't be tomorrow by the time we put this out.
No, I know, but when we're talking. When we're talking this time tomorrow, I will be 15 minutes away from ending the first show on a new radio station. I'm presenting the breakfast show on Trapped Radio, which is a new digital radio station for sport and music. And that's about it, really. We'll play great music and we'll talk about loads of sport. And they've got some wonderful presenters. Mark Pugach is doing the drive time, Sani Rajavajala's after me in the morning, and Sonia McLaughlin in the afternoon. We're really excited. It's been quite a long time, and John Inverdale has helped sort of shape the whole thing. He's like the puppet master in the background. And we're really, really excited to just, because we all love music and we all love sport. And we're putting the two together and hopefully we will make a big success of it. I'm very excited.
And the channel still remains on your hit list?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you've got to plan a channel swim sometime in advance. So 2020, I always thought it would be 2028, but 2027. And we're summer 2026 coming up, but I think more likely 2028 or 9. I've started doing a few other things. Did a few High Rocks events just because, and I quite enjoyed them, and I know, but still, I don't care. I've got a running challenge coming up in a couple of weeks that I can't tell you about because somebody else will do it, and it's silly, but fun with my friend Anna from Barnes Runners. I'd like to do a 200-mile running event, so the Winter 200 from Centurion. I think that's definitely on the cards for this December. I'd love to know what happens to me, because I've run 155 miles, and I was broken from 120 onwards. So goodness knows what I'm going to be like from 150 onwards. But let's find out, And yeah, I just like that thing about getting out of your comfort zone. I love it. The new radio station, that's out of my comfort zone. But it also feels like somebody's like invented my perfect job and then offered it to me. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that then, thank you. So there's so many wonderful running and swimming events that I just want to do, and I'm really lucky that I've got a body that can do them, and I'm going to honour that by getting on with it.
Vassos, thanks for your time. I know you want to get in the water, so we'll let you get on with that. And
thank you. No, it's been a delight to chat to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning into this podcast. If you've got all this way, I'm really hoping that you've enjoyed our work. There's a few things you can do though to support us. Follow, like, subscribe, share, whatever you can do to help spread the word of The Quarry. The other thing you can do is head on over to our website, where you can become a member and really support independent local news.